Many persons involved in Xaverian schools today ask the question, what does Xaverian sponsorship really mean? There's a very convenient but generalized response to this question if we were to quote Sister Sharon Holland, IHM. Sister Sharon concludes her introductory remarks in the book entitled Sponsorship in the United States Context with the following sentence. When all is said and done, the topic of sponsorship is about ecclesial ministry, and the goal is to protect it into the future as service rendered in the name of the Church. This clear and quick reply to the question is also very instructive. Church ministries will not have a future unless they are protected, and such protection has a requirement. The requirement is service. The service rendered must be in the name of the Church, and we all know that the Church is best understood as the people of God. So any authentic approach to sponsorship is meant to protect, preserve, and promote church ministry in service to gospel values on behalf of all God's people. This protection of the church's ministry on behalf of God's people is addressed by many in various church groups and agencies. Currently in the United States, religious congregations of women and men remain the largest group of sponsors of Catholic institutional services, with the exception of elementary education and perhaps the international services of Catholic charities. For our purposes here, we will speak about the sponsorship model fashioned by the Congregation of the Brothers of St. Francis Xavier, who, for nearly 40 years, have worked and reworked this approach to ministry with a primary focus on ministry to young people. The Brothers of St. Francis Xavier, also known as Xaverian Brothers, have for nearly 2 centuries educated youth around the world. For many of these years, the Brothers administered and staffed both elementary and high schools. During the years following the Second Vatican Council, the Brothers began expanding their educational ministry by moving out of small parish schools. Beginning in the 1950s, the Brothers built and staffed large regional high schools from New England to Kentucky. Until the 1980s, the Brothers had enough expertise and religious membership to adequately attend to the administrative and staffing needs of the schools. A growing awareness of the directives from the Second Vatican Council, as well as the need for more sophisticated legal and financial skills, were influencing the Brothers to move away from a highly centralized model of ministry to an approach which involved collaboration with laity. Vatican documents inspired the Brothers to envision the people of God as a community of lay and religious membership, willing to ensure the future of Christian values through a generous and collaborative sharing of one's gifts and talents, particularly in service to the most obvious future of the Church, its youth. During this time, it was also apparent that the membership of the Xaverian congregation was not growing in the United States. Consequently, this new model would have to include instruction and formation related to vision, values, and mission of the congregation as a central and historic component that would not only sustain but also enhance the ministry in all the sponsored schools. During the 1980s, Catholic hospitals were already adapting to a new and more current model of administration, which was centered on preserving and promoting the hospital's Catholic vision, mission, and values. Every new model was described as sponsorship, since each religious congregation was understanding sponsorship in terms of its radical but also nuanced meaning, as a pledge and responsibility to ensure the future religious and historical vision and mission of each institution. The Xaverian Brothers studied, reflected on, and discerned the type of model which would best serve its vision, mission, and values. In so doing, the Brothers created a 3-tier sponsorship model, which has significantly and identifiably established a congregational network of schools where staff and students are instructed and formed within the Catholic tradition according to the vision, mission, and values of the Xaverian Brothers. At this time, there are 13 schools which comprise the Xaverian Brothers Sponsored Schools Network. The following groups comprise the 3 tiers of the Xaverian sponsorship model. 1. The General Superior with the Council of the Congregation. 2. The members, who are appointed by the General Superior and his council. And 3. The trustees, who are appointed by the members. The bylaws, which apply to each school, have all 3 tiers responsible for the protection, preservation, and promotion of the Xaverian mission. More specific bylaws apply to each tier in regard to the responsibility for corporate documents, finances, property, and appointments. The members are responsible for the ongoing efforts of the Xaverian Brothers Sponsorship Office. The members have established a sponsorship office with personnel who carry out the work of implementing the model. Personnel regularly organize programs which assist the attendees in their initial and ongoing formation within the scope of the Xaverian charism, mission, and values. An orientation program for new teachers as well as an orientation program for new trustees are examples of these formative opportunities. Meetings with faculty formation personnel, as well as retreat opportunities for experienced teachers, serve as opportunities for ongoing formation. A Xaverian Brothers student retreat is a very mission-driven experience, where our students grow in a greater awareness of their gifts as servant leaders, who learn how to rely on personal and communal prayer and reflection as they reach out in service to the wider community. The mission of the Brothers, extended and shared with the sponsored schools, is rooted in the heart of the founder of the Xaverian congregation, Theodore James Ryken. Ryken was a very ordinary and self-educated man. He was a shoemaker who at the age of 19 had a conversion experience where he fell in love with God and directed the remainder of his life toward humble service to God's people, particularly the poor and marginalized. The fundamental principles of the Brothers inform us that the founder's vision was unique. He intended to form a community of lay men who, as religious brothers, would be sent as missionaries to the world. The congregation's worldview is missionary, sustained and supported by a life of service which is rooted in contemplation and community. The Brothers, like the founder, live common, ordinary, unspectacular lives in their effort to remain in solidarity and availability among the people. This missionary, communal, contemplative vision of the Church embraces the gospel values of trust, humility, compassion, simplicity, and zeal. Zeal is the value which remarkably describes the life and ministry of our patron, St. Francis Xavier. Ryken describes his choice of Xavier as our patron with these words: "The name of this insatiable laborer of souls will indicate with one word what is intended for the congregation." When the Xaverian Brothers speak of sponsorship today, the Brothers are asking that our collaborators in the sponsored schools, faculty, staff, and board members stand in their places to ensure that the Xaverian mission, vision, and values will endure and enhance the Catholic, religious, and academic lives of thousands of young men and women who are searching for a Christian, formative, and excellent education.